Now we are going to see how to add some simple validation rules to the attributes that we have created in our survey. For example, if we go to the tree entity and we have the angle field, the angle attribute, we want to limit this angle attribute between 0 and 360. So let's go to edit the angle attribute, go to validations, and here in expressions go to this click this edit button and add the expression that needs to be valid. So if you want to validate the value of an attribute, what you have to do is to define an expression that needs to be verified. Otherwise, when this expression is not verified, an error or a warning will be shown to the user. Now let's define this expression and let's see how it works. Now we want that this variable, so this triangle, so select the first item that you have here among the variables, so select first variable if it's not already selected, then select this. This must be greater or equal to a constant value 0, you type 0 here, and same thing will be added another rule like this, and we want this angle to be less or equal to 360. Here it depends on what type of convention you want to use. If you want to include the 360 value, or if you want to limit it up to 359, for example, but it's just a convention. So let's apply this expression. So this will be the final expression that will be used internally by Arena. So this variable must be greater or equal than 0, and this must be less or equal to 360. Here you can choose if you want it to be shown as an error or a warning to the user. Error will be shown in red, warning in yellow, orange, and you can customize the error message that should appear to the user. Here you can type something like angle must be between 0 and 360 inclusive, or something like this. Save and go back. Let's try to do a preview and see what happens. Let's go to the plot, create a new plot, add a new tree. Now here is our angle. If I type, for example, 370, I receive an error, and in the message that I see the custom message that I defined. But if I type something correct, I don't see the error message anymore. We can add something similar, for example, to the bow light. Bow light must be lower than total height in the case of a tree, of course. So let's define here the bow light, the validation rule. You will go to validations, go to expressions, and you say that this, the tree bow light variable, must be lower than, instead of a constant value, you select variable and you select the tree total height and apply. This will be the final expression that will be used. If you want, when you want to apply some more complex expression, you can use the advanced editor that you have on top. In the advanced editor, basically, if you know a bit of JavaScript, you can write the expression in a different way. You can just type, and you will have also an auto-completion if you press Ctrl and space, as you can see below. You will have an auto-completion that will give you some hints about what you can use, the variables that you can use. That are basically the variables defined in the current entity, the entity where the current attribute is defined, and also all the attributes that are belonging to the ancestors entity, for example the cluster and the plot entity. You have the expression in this way. Later we will see in some other videos how to write some more complex expressions. Let's save and go back. Test this expression. When you want some attribute to be required, because by default Arena doesn't complain if you don't type a value in a field, but in some cases you want, for example, the total height to be required, so you want the user to specify a value for the total height. So you have to mark it as required under validations. Save and back, and let's see the differences between a required attribute and a not required attribute. Go to the preview, we go to the plot and we create a new tree. You see, for example, angle is not a required attribute, so we don't have any complaints about this. But since we have marked total height as a required attribute, we will have an error if you don't specify anything. So let's type, for example, 100, maybe 10 meters is a correct value, and ball height, if we type 11, we'll have an error. We didn't customize the error message, so you will see something like this. It would be better to customize the error message. If you type something correct, you don't see any errors.